Hey, Deb.
Yeah.
Deb?
Yeah.
So the road that you're referring to that they cannot dump onto is not 2000 east, correct?
I don't know what the numbers are. All I know is off the highway is 20, is Butler Wells Lane.
Right.
And the dumpster is right there.
No, I meant for, sorry, for Lansbury's application.
Ranch Road.
Which one?
Ranch Road.
Ranch Road, okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure I got the right street name.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Ford. UPS just found it. You know, I watched this thing.
This budget was pretty good. There was really nothing that we overextended this year. We didn't really go over any budgets. Say everything stayed in the budget. The only thing we really missed was $400,000 grant money. It's still outstanding. We haven't collected it yet.
Yeah. Done deal, but it's 100.
Well, let's see what else comes started.
I hate Russians.
Yeah.
Taylor, you ready?
I am ready if you are.
I don't see anybody in the parking lot, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening. We'll call the order tonight for the meeting of the Big Plains Water and Sewer Special Service District meetings. We'll begin with call order. Paul Edwardson. Here. Marty Lisenby. Here. Dale Battle here. Kevin Sayer. Here. Mike Popham. Here. Good. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mike, could you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda tonight is discussion of possible action of the tentative budget. Remember, this is a tentative budget for fiscal year 2022. Looking at 2021, we came under budget pretty much for the year, with the exception of grants, which there's still some outstanding grant money to be collected. We're expecting $405,000, which we have not collected to date. We're waiting on a report to be executed, I think, before we come back full balance of that. Other than that, we're pretty good on the numbers, so it kind of leads you to tend to believe that our projections for 2022 aren't going to be that. Give you some confidence to say we can meet those numbers. There's a couple of big increases. Operating income has about a 345% decrease, excuse me. And I don't see anything in here in bonding. Money's allocated, $904,000 total for that pipeline. That's already been collected and distributed. So I have a big question mark about why line item number.
That's the water line. It's moving up.
Wait, I guess so. Guys, we can't whisper. We have to talk loud and stay on the recorder. Okay. Okay.
Even the 904 is for the.
You have some questions on page 1?
No, we were getting ahead of things, so.
Okay. So on page 1, we have an allocation, or excuse me, page 2, sorry. Actually, it's page 3 on item 1. We have on grants allocated 50 on section 5510, $904,000. That's being suggested. That's for the pipeline coming from Canaan Springs over to Cedar Point.
No.
I mean,
It's the 405 is probably that leftover money you're talking about.
It is.
But the 904 is the 2022 budget. That's for the possible pipeline. You can't.
That's what I just said.
I thought you said 405.
No, I was saying that the 904
Okay.
number in there appears to be an allocation for the pipeline
Right.
going to, it says, or suggests it's going to the Canyon Springs water tank. However, the numbers don't match because the cost of that pipeline is less, the 65% under this number. It appears to me like the $904,000 number was the original number that we started off with when we were developing the spring. It's consistent with that number. So at this being a tentative budget, I've got some big question marks on that we need to confirm what those monies are allocated for before we get to a final budget approval for 2022. So I'm not sure where they came up with this number.
In the last meeting, I remember them bringing this number up. That's what they thought the pipeline would cost. But I could be wrong.
That may be.
Thing I want to point out is we have that 904 up here as a non-operating income, but we don't have any expense down in the so that 904 will be offset down below, because this is indicating we're going to have $1 million in
Right.
profit. That's not the case. So we should have a line item down on total non-operating expenses is the 904 numbers and obviously.
Sure. Right now it shows we're ending up with $984,000 that we're not going to get.
It's towards the bottom, boy.
Sorry?
It's towards the bottom.
Doesn't show an expense.
Thank you.
It was on the website.
What he's saying is this number right. Saying this number right here is it. So we just need to clean that up and get verification on that. There seems to be some question on where that is because the numbers don't match up. They've got, if that is in fact it down there as non-operating expense, in items it's 893,000 versus 904, so it's just inconsistent. So we'll get Jeff on that, to the new town accountant, and get that clarified before that final budget is approved. See anything? Anybody see anything else in there that you're concerned about?
No, I didn't say anything else.
Okay. You guys have some questions back on page, with any questions on the budget? Remember, it's a tentative budget, so if there's questions, we've got an opportunity to address these. Some of the increases are pretty large, 300% and 400% increase and decrease.
There's some that went down as well too, so.
Yeah, I'm saying increase and decrease both.
Yeah.
There's a 350% increase and you have to turn around another 300% decrease. So we want to get a little closer look at that before our final budget. No more questions on the budget then?
I think the only one, is there was a question on the professional services. Is that? what all is
Which
that
line
include?
item?
6040 on page 2. You know, previously we were talking about how come that has increased and decreased like it has, but I'm guessing that's for like attorneys and whatever.
Well,
else.
it is professional services, including engineering too.
Engineering and.
So I want to make sure that we,
Engineering on that.
yeah, because 21 was 91,000. There's only 60,000 for this year. So I'm in visiting with Rod. He thought some of that was his fees too. So
Okay,
so again, we should need to do that audit process for the next 30 days to get ready for.
just a lot of fluctuation in that. So
Yeah, I
I'm wondering
agree.
why we're so high last year and then
Yeah,
our beginning of the year, and then now we're down to 60,000
and the assumption I'm making is that it has a lot to do with construction of the springs.
on springs.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, it does have a lot to do with the construction on
Yeah.
the springs.
So-
That's the ledger we use for all of the services that we've got from Galloway's.
We're a little bit in the dark in our first stab at this, so I just want to make sure that we understand that. We'll spend that time with Jeff going through this audit to get a more clear picture before we pass any final budgets. Okay? There's no other questions on the budget portion?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay. Do we, make a motion to, on this line item. We have a
Yeah.
motion?
I move that we, pass the tentative budget for fiscal year 2022.
So just so we're clear, this is a public hearing item. The public is allowed to have a say on this
I
budget.
was curious about that, 'cause it didn't say.
Is that on the increase
Does it
though?
all the
When we,
time? Doesn't
when we
say.
go talk about the increase, isn't that the public part?
Oh, maybe,
On number 2?
It is.
Yeah,
This
that's
is just
public.
on the action on the tentative budget, so that should be just us.
just making
And
sure,
the public hearing is on the increase.
Correct.
just making sure.
So do I have,
Taylor?
do I have a second,
Down
please?
the agenda, it says public hearing on both.
Does it? Okay, it just doesn't say that on ours.
It doesn't
said
say
that
on your
2 weeks now.
Mhm.
It's not on our agenda.
It says it on mine. It's right here. Oh, you're right. Okay, okay.
It
Yeah,
just says
I see.
discussion and possible action on the tentative
Yeah,
budget.
it got a little error
Okay,
there.
so do
Okay,
we,
I see.
we need to open up to the public then for that?
Okay, so let's open up the public comment section for the tentative budget only. Mr. Harris, if you come for us, please.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris, I mean, sorry.
Jerry's Harris, 1345 Cedar Drive. It's pretty apparent that none of you know anything about the budget or what it pertains to or anything. It's pretty, looks like it's pretty new to you. And you're trying to make sense of something that you haven't got any information as to what it is. So it'd be nice if you had that information before you tried making a new budget or changing the budget. The other thing is that I'd like to know what the legal process is for the town to be able to take over the water service district. How does that legal process work?
In the last meeting that we had in the town district, Mr. Harris, the attorney submitted a resolution that was presented as part of the town council meeting. And in that resolution, explained the procedures and the process for dissolving the water district and board only and replacing it with town council. I'd be happy to give you a copy of that if Taylor, you get him a copy of that.
That resolution.
Go home.
So there's nothing legal that you have to do. You just say, we're doing it and do it.
Well, state legislation allows the town who was the municipality who created the district it is empowered to replace and take over the board and replace it with the town council to serve as a new board. And it is legally empowered to do so.
So it looks like you're having no interface with the old board in order to move forward.
We extended, in fact, we didn't extend, we asked repetitively to have them come in and serve as actually a transitional committee for 6 months to a year, help do this process, and they denied to do so. So we are somewhat behind the 8 ball, and we are catching up.
So it's going to take you time to get to the point that you can make a reasonable decision on anything that you're doing.
It'll always take time. You never want to have a knee-jerk reaction, but time is a relative word. It comes down to the matter of the amount of energy and time we're able to apply to this, and it is a high priority for us.
I'd like to also say that I've been on the board for almost 3 years. So it's not like we're not without anybody that knows what's going on up here.
Any other public
I
comments?
would think that, you know.
Yes, can I comment?
He wasn't quite through. Sorry, I apologize. I thought he was through and he wasn't. Go ahead, Mr. Harris.
It just seemed like you'd have been interfacing with them longer, you know, a lot longer than all of a sudden now and you don't know anything.
Well,
That's all.
I appreciate the observation. Yes, sir. State your name, Bob, can you state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Bob Pilkington. I am at 1333 East Big Pinion Lane. And I kind of agree with Mr. Harris. I'm sure that you guys are going to do a great job. It just takes time to learn it. That said, it seems like we've been learning this for only about 7 days. And I personally, having worked for a utility before and done some other things like that, would kind of like to see you table it for a couple of weeks at least, so that you guys can come up to speed on everything. And I know it takes time, but with the people you relieved of their duties not willing to cooperate with you, and I understand that as well. You know, we're looking at spending almost $1 million here. Can we slow it down for a couple of weeks, take a look at everything, get up to speed? Just make sure we're making an informed current, correct, and accurate decision, and instead of trying to rush this through, because we've only had 7 days. And I would ask, is this your budget, or is this the budget the water board put together? And it's kind of rhetorical. If it's your budget and you're 100% sure, by all means. If that's their budget, which I am almost 100% sure that it is, it's not your budget. And to take ownership of someone else's $1 million project might not be a prudent idea. You guys all seem pretty smart. I know a couple of you. I know Kevin and I know Marty. And I would just suggest maybe take a couple of weeks, get fully up to speed, and then make $1 million decision. And I'm sure you guys will do great, but don't rush. And that's I'll mute myself again.
I want to clarify though, the $1 million project has already been expended. The work has been completed. They're just wrapping up the tail end of it. And you're correct, it is their budget they put together that we just recently received. But Marty and I, as he indicated, we've been a part of that process in the past. For the last 7 or 8 months, Marty for much longer than that. And we are aware of much of the budget, but there are some questions that we have about that structure that we want to spend the next 30 days looking at. So when you say postpone it for 2 weeks, we do have time constraints that we have to follow to get these agendas approved and pushed through by state law. In this particular case, this is only a tentative budget for the fiscal year of 2022 that we're looking at. So it is a projected budget, and we are going to spend, as I noted earlier, the next 30 days reviewing this and getting caught up to speed as rapidly as possible. So it is a priority. So I appreciate your comments.
Perfect.
Anyone else? Anybody else online have a comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment section. Move on to line item number 2. Public hearing on the increase in water rates. You'll turn to your last page. This is the discussed water rates. And I'm sure that most of people in the audience have a copy of it. For those that are online who may not have a copy, I want to read the letter. Many residents say they have received this. I have not received it as a resident, so I know there's some people out there who have not. So I'm going to read this a little bit. It says the letter was enclosed with your water statement mailed the first part of April, reflecting the water usage in 2019 and 20. As we enter the summer of 2021, the water consumption in Apple Valley needs to be curtailed to avoid other measures such as or like water rationing. With the very high rate of water use and extreme drought we are involved in, the Special Service District feels compelled for the well-being of our water system and all users to move forward with higher water rates for consumption of higher than 5,000 gallons per month. Customers with commercial connections or special needs will be addressed separately. The proposed new rates, as seen in the table below, will be discussed at a hearing on to be determined 6 p.m. If approved, the rates will become effective June 1st, 2021, and will be reset to the current rates beginning November 1st, 2021. This time frame will cover the bulk of the highest usage. Start with any questions with the council?
No questions.
Comments?
I don't think that we can raise the rates this high, even by state law. I think that would be a question. Just looking at other towns, looking at Hurricane, the only one I was able to print off tonight was Hurricane's. Their highest rate over 60,000 gallons is $1.80 per thousand. We're proposing to go from 5,000 to 12,000 at $5 per thousand, or I should say we're not. This was the Big Plains Water and Sewer Special Service District that put these numbers out. And they're proposing to go from 12,000 to 25,000 at $10, and even up to 45,000, just a straight $10 per thousand gallons. So that's a big increase.
Okay. Any other comments, council?
I don't know of anybody who can afford a $350 month water bill.
Okay.
I'm just curious if we're allotted 1 acre foot that maybe it would be something better where towards the end of the year, there's maybe a possible penalty if someone goes way over, but you're just hammering the snot out of everybody in the summertime, and they go back to their smaller usage. And it seems to me like we're just penalizing the people for our water shortage when they didn't create it.
We also have one system, the Cedar Point system, is one we're having issues with usage. And
Well,
I just think the first thing we could do is write a letter and say we need to cut back usage voluntarily.
that would certainly be, that would be a good start, and I don't know why all the citizens are penalized. We knew long ago when we bought Cedar City that was, or Cedar Point, it was not in good shape. The whole concept from the very beginning when I was here was to get that Canaan spring hooked up and run that pipeline over to that 1 million gallon tank. It's free flowing. And I see over on here that it takes approximately $17,000 a year to run those pumps. If we didn't have to run those pumps, we could save that money. So then when you tell me you have a banker on here and you're gonna save $23,000 a year, it doesn't seem like much difference to me. If we'd have just had that thing hooked up a couple years ago like it was supposed to be, we wouldn't be having these problems right now. That's what I'm saying.
Any other comments? Paul? Okay, this time we'll open up to the public for public comment on this item. Mr. Harris. Now, Mr. and Bob, if you can hear me, I apologize. I called Mr. Harris, Mr. Harris, and it's actually Zaharis. So Jerry, I apologize for that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just figured I'd go along with it.
The scale that you went up on that, that you're proposing on that, you jump $5 and then everything else is $10 above that. I'm with Mike. I don't know if the law will allow you to make that big of a jump, and it should be scaled a little bit different going up rather than just jump from $5 to $10, and $5 may be a little high for that first jump. I just think it should be reviewed, and the state needs to be involved and look at it to where, we've got 50% of this town can't afford that kind of water price, period.
Well, we have on percentages, just on the town items, we have certain percentages that we're allowed to increase, and we can't go over that. I would imagine we're held to those same laws with our increases on here with utilities. So we'd have to take a look at what we can increase or what we need to do with that.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any other comments? Mrs. Walters?
Do we know how many residents are using more than the 30,000 gallons that you had found is typical in a lot of areas? Do we know how many residents are using more than that?
I don't.
We do. In the numbers that I received, it was only one or two. There was one house in particular that was, using $500 a month, I think was the water bill, the number that was given. But the majority of the people are staying relatively close. If you go back to the last public meeting we had on this in the water board, this was really being used as a deterrent more than anything else for overwater usage. If it occurred, there was not that many people going over their limit based on the numbers that was supplied to us. But it was more as a deterrent to keep it from happening, preventative in the future. So.
Thank you. So I do know that a letter, to your suggestion, a letter was sent out requesting people to voluntarily reduce usage. That has already been done. And so that's probably not going to be an effective option.
A lot of people don't read their bills either. When they get their water bill, I don't think a lot of people turn over to read the back of the water bill either.
But I would advocate, as you are, that we respect families with children. And when I looked up online, it said the average use is 100 gallons per person per day. So a family of 4 would use 12,000 gallons. So I personally would advocate not penalizing for less than 12,000 gallons so that we ensure that families, at least 4 or under, can maintain their water bill as is. And small incremental increase for maybe up to 30,000 gallons. And then focus on increasing for more than 30,000 gallons. So keep 12,000 gallons or less as is. between 12 and 30, an increase, and then 30,000 or more, we should look at an increase that would potentially encourage people. I don't like using the word deter, but encourage people to control their water usage. The other thing that was mentioned in the last water board meeting that should be restated and also be included in any decision that you make in writing is that Dale Harris is willing to go to any property that has a higher water bill. And he will go to any resident's home and go through their system. He will take the time to go through their system to look for water leaks.
Water Conservancy District will too. They'll come out and do a sprinkler check on there. So even though we're in that county with them, we still pay our taxes to the Water Conservancy District. And when they do their water checks in the spring and summer, they send somebody out to actually show you how to conserve on water with your sprinkling system and adjust your time clock too.
So
And that is a free
wonderful.
service from the Water Conservancy
So we have
District.
two options.
We do.
But we should make that very clear to residents that if you have any concern that you possibly have a leak that's increasing your water usage and therefore going to increase your water bill, that we as a town will do what we can to assist you in finding those leaks and eliminating them. Because it's not just about encouraging or deterring an action, it's also that we want to be here to help you as well. So that should be made very clear to all the residents as this decision is made. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I got that all worked out. All I gotta do is get rid of my kids now.
Yeah, and then they come back. Like sometimes. I was hoping, I was trying to get a water schedule from like Dameron Valley, something would be a little closer, and I didn't get their actual rates so I could print it out. So I printed out Hurricanes, and they had changed theirs recently, that like if you have, they go by service. So like in your meter size where you have 3/4, 1 inch, they adjust from that size of service you have as well on theirs. And they go at a base rate, your monthly base rate of $33 on 3/4, and then your 0 to 5,000 gallons is 96 cents per thousand. And then from 10 to 20,000, they raise that up. That's not a lot. I mean, they go to $1.18, and 30 to 40, they go to $1.34, 40 to 60, they go to $1.58, and over 60 at $1.80 per thousand. And I'm not saying that we need to be their same price. We need to look at what we need to be for our area. I mean, we're already over that just with our current rates.
First 0 to 5,000.
Well, may I suggest you look at Virgin, because Virgin water rates,
And then
our
we'll look
community
at-
is more similar to Virgin. We
Right.
have more agriculture, they have more agriculture than Hurricane does. And so our systems are gonna be more similar. They have from 0 to 15,000 is $1 per thousand. And then from 15,001 to 25, they have fewer water rates to begin with. We have it broken down quite a bit. And then it goes up,
Spread out as we are too, so that
it goes up to
helps you.
2. But you get to 40,000, 50,000, they are at $4.50 a gallon. So maybe look at theirs,
Maybe we need to look at that.
because that might be more in
$4.50
line with what
50,000
we
every thousand.
want to do. Is to, again, not penalize families and that have smaller footprints, smaller usage. Again, theirs is $1 up to 15,000 gallons. But then your bigger users, they do raise those water rates accordingly. So
Well, it may be something we have to look at with our base rate and change our base rate a little bit too, and then adjust
their base rate is $55.
$55.
Their base
Yeah.
rate is $55.
So we're cheaper on our base rate, I
Yes,
believe, yeah.
yeah,
So we may have to just change things around a little bit.
yeah.
Hurricane's about 60 some dollars on their rate.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hey Mason, I'm sorry, would you just state your name for the recording?
Mason Walters.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the audience? Anybody
Yeah,
online?
Pilkington. Yes,
I see.
Pilkington here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys already know, but I just want to, put it on the record there that you can't, the utility statute in Utah doesn't allow for raising rates to curtail or penalize people. Actually, the law is very specific. Your rates have to be reasonable. The increases have to be reasonable, and you have to provide a reasonable service. Here, there's nothing that tells us where that $10 an hour or $10 came from. There's no, the letter didn't tell us where we got that figure from. So if we just pulled it out of the air, That, of course, wouldn't be reasonable. We need to know where the money is going. Why are we raising the rates so high? There's no explanation for what the money's for other than to curtail usage, which again isn't reasonable. So the big thing is reasonableness, and we just don't. That letter does not provide that. The law says clearly that you basically can't raise the rates 300 to 400% because it's just not reasonable. And I'm sure you all are aware of that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I have a 40-year legal background, so I kind of researched this to death. And that's the big thing. Just, be reasonable. And I've spoken to Marty, what his thoughts on it are. And yeah, that's my big thing is we just need to make sure that we don't open this town up for any self-respecting paralegal to come in here and file suit because we did something that wasn't reasonable under the law. And so that's it. That's all I got to say. I hope we make the right decision here.
Thank you for your input. Remind you to mute this time because I heard you belch earlier. Any other comments online?
I'd like to say something if I could.
State your name and address, please.
Tish Lisenby, 1386 North Mount Zion Drive. So I'm a little confused as to whether we're talking about raising the rates or we're talking about trying to conserve water, especially in the Cedar Point area, in order to get through the summer until we get the pipeline connected. Because I think that was our original goal. And the raise in the rates was a deterrent and tried to encourage people to do so. But I think the actual goal here is to try to get through the summer and conserve the water, and especially the Cedar Point area.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Kendra Webb. Kendra Webb. I have several questions. I don't have an address. I can give you a parcel number, but I do not have a street address. AV 1362. One of my questions is the million-gallon tank that you have on that budget. You don't say what million-gallon tank it is. Is that in Cedar Point, or is that the proposed Jepson Ranch million-gallon tank?
It's referred to as the million-gallon tank at Cedar Point.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't say that though. It just says million-gallon tank. So I was just making sure. I had a question about the last meeting about letting the board of directors go for the SSD. And I wondered, is that legal to let them go? Couldn't they consolidate the loans as well as you consolidate the loans?
No, the USDA will not will not consolidate or restructure their own loans.
Okay,
yes,
so they don't do that. They can't do that. You have to take it over to consolidate. Is that right?
Not a matter. I want to be clear. It's not a matter of can or cannot. It's a matter of will or will not. USDA will not consolidate nor restructure their loans under the SSD.
Okay. Well, when they bought the water company, Canaan Water Company from us, that was one of the things we had to wait for a consolidation before. And then there was a late fee involved, which became a breach of contract. But so I was under the understanding that they could consolidate. So my mistake. So the other thing is, I guess I don't get any kind of letters, so I might might have misunderstood this, but have you decided not to use my easement on the going to the million-gallon tank?
We have not made that determination as of yet. It's not on tonight's agenda.
Okay, sorry. I thought I had heard somebody else talk about pumps and using pumps to pump it up there. So I just want everybody to know that I'm willing to work with the town still, and it's been difficult for us to compromise and with the different people involved and different mayors, but please talk to me. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else online? Okay, this time we close the public hearing portion of item number 2, public hearing on the increase in the water rates. I'll start with my opening comments. You know, there's 3 primary issues that I have with it. One is, you know, you read the letter and it's very obvious that the purpose of this particular increase of water is to curtail and avoid other measures such as water rationing. And I'm just not a fan of using a board of this nature to, in the golf business, what we call pencil whipping the residents. I'm just don't think that's appropriate. Whether it's legal or illegal, it's just, to me, it's just not appropriate. Anybody else have any views?
I feel that we need to, well, table it or just get rid of it all. We need to reevaluate it another way, not in this format.
Okay, Mr. Sarah, any comments?
I agree with Mike.
Mr.
I agree. What we're trying to do is modify behavior really on a shared resource. It doesn't belong to anybody, it belongs to all of us. And there's water rationing, there's every other day watering, all those things are a little bit more onerous, but this, yeah, it's a lot of money for people who water their gardens and have their lawns and everything else. So I agree.
Mr. Littleby, any comments?
I think it's punitive where we're trying to punish people for the water usage. I agree with Mike's comments regarding what can legally be done. And I'm not sure we want to legally extend it to that point anyway, but we have it here. I think it's just punitive, this is too much.
Well, I want to remind you that we do have a problem. I just don't believe this is a tool to fix the problem. As such, I'd make a motion that we deny this. We have a second.
Second.
Vote begin with Paul.
Aye.
Mark. Aye.
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 Denied, carried 5-0. Okay, item number 3, discussion and possible action on, I said item 2, that was item number 3. Let me go back and correct that, guys. Item number 3, I make a motion that we reject the increase in water rates on item number 3, discussion and possible action on the increase in water rates. We have a second.
Second.
Vote begin with Paul.
Aye.
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 Carried 5-0. Item number 4, discussion of possible action on adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 22. Is this a duplicate?
Well, we have the, I think the.
Yeah.
Supposed to be-
Oh, public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's where yours.
That's where our verbiage is missing.
Yeah.
And this is where
Okay, so this is where we probably should then move to have a motion on this.
I move that we approve the tentative budget for fiscal year 2022. With the advice of some of the people out there, it was, this has been looked at. When I went into it blind, it's only 7 days to look at it. I've got some questions on it. It's the same bookkeeper works on our books that work on this. And this is a jumping on point.
Okay, so can you clarify your motion then? Because there was
My
a lot.
motion is that we approve the tentative budget as listed here for fiscal year 2022.
We have a second.
Second.
Vote begin with Paul.
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye. Vote carries 4-0. Before we make a motion for request for a close, do we need a close session?
I don't think there was one of that I requested, so.
Okay.
Unless,
Before we call for adjournment, want to make sure that we have on our next meeting that we missed tonight, the water board needs to appoint the chairman and the treasurer. So we need to make sure we get that on next month's agenda. And with that, we have a motion for adjournment. Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote with Paul.
Aye.
Aye.